Hey guys, Mark here. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to burnish leather edges. Edge burnishing is basically a technique of smoothing out a leather edge. It makes your work look a lot more professional, and I absolutely recommend it. It is one of those techniques that requires little effort, but it greatly improves the look of your items. Edge burnishing relies on applying friction onto an edge of leather, which in turn creates heat, which compresses the fibers in your leather edges. There are quite a few ways of burnishing a leather edge, and in this video I'm going to cover a few. I'm going to compare them to see which one works best, but at the end of the day, it's all a matter of preference. Mix and match until you get a result that you are happy with. The first step in burnishing leather is to use some sandpaper and sand off the edges of your leather. This will not only smoothen out the edge, but also remove any excess glue that might have stuck on. This is especially important when you have glued together two or more pieces of leather and you need to get them to the same level. So keep sanding until you get a nice smooth edge. Once you have sanded off the edges of your leather, it is time to round them off. To do that, we're going to use an edge beveler, also known as an edge shave or edger. These come in a variety of different sizes, and the smaller the size, the less it takes off of your edge. The larger the size, the more it takes off. I own a size 1 and a 3, but if you're not sure which one to get a number 2. It should work just fine. We now came to the step where we actually burnish the leather. We're going to apply friction onto the edge, and for that we need some sort of tool. Traditionally, canvas was used in order to apply friction and then just moving up and down with the canvas. You can use a hand burnisher, such as one of these, and these are also called edge slickers. You can use a drill-mounted edge slicker, but those require you to have a drill as well as a bit of a different setup for burnishing. It is all a matter of preference, but I use these because they are cheap and they work well. The first burnishing that we're going to do is also probably the most important one. We're going to slightly dampen the edge of our leather, then pick up our edge slicker, and we're going to start moving up and down, creating friction and compressing the fibers in our leather edge. If you're doing a longer piece, such as a strap or a belt, be sure to section it off and do up to about a foot and then move on to the next length. You need to create enough friction, which you can't if you're doing the entire piece at the same time. I have completed burnishing with just the water and an edge slicker. This is how the edge looks like after we have done our burnishing. It is darker and smoother than the unprocessed edge, so it is a definite upgrade. I should also cover the use of dyes in the process of burnishing a leather edge. Just by burnishing an edge, we're getting a darker look. But you can use some dye on top of that, and in that case it is important to apply it at a proper stage. I would recommend that you use your dye after your first burnishing. So when you used your water and your burnishing tool, at that point I would use my dye. If you do it later, after you have applied your wax or gum track, the dye won't absorb nicely into your leather edge. The second method of burnishing leather edges is an upgrade to the first method. So I first wet the edges and did my basic burnishing. I'm now going to pick up some wax and I'm going to wax the edge. After waxing the edge, I'm going to again pick up my edge slicker and I'm going to do another set of burnishing. You may need to apply the wax several times, but for basic testing, I'm going to do it 1, maybe 2 times. I've now completed burnishing with the wax, and the edge is a tad darker and a lot smoother than just burnishing with water. So it is a definite upgrade and I highly recommend using at least wax. The third method of burnishing leather edges is by using gum track. Gum track can be used instead of a water burnish or after it. I'm going to use my gum track after the water burnish to show you how it looks like. I did the water burnish, and for the gum track, I'm going to first apply a little bit. And then burnish. I find that you need to do several coats before you get a nice result with gum track, so just reapply once in a while and then continue burnishing. Once you leave your gum track to dry for a little bit, you get a nice smooth finish on the edge of your leather. If I compare it to wax, it is a bit lighter in color and it is smoother. Wax has a bit more friction going on the edge, but that isn't too much of an issue either. So guys, now that we have done 3 different burnishings on 3 different edges, let me give you a quick comparison. The water burnish darkens the edge a bit and makes it a lot smoother. It is the bare minimum that you can do. A wax burnish is an upgrade to the water burnish and it adds a smoother edge, which is also darker and glossier. The gum track burnish on top of your water burnish makes an even smoother edge but does not darken it as much. Both the gum track route as well as the wax route both produce a fine edge. I highly recommend that you use some sort of a top finish on your edges to make them more durable once you have done burnishing. Guys, I hope this tutorial was of some use. Thank you and see you next time.